Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So let's get on into this. Aquarians, I did a little pre shuffle for you guys. You got the Judgment card, which is Scorpio energy. However, I wanted to tell the mythological tale that is inspired by this card, which is associated with Athena. So the goddess Athena, one of the 12 Olympian gods, was said to have sprung from Zeus's own forehead. So her father was Zeus, but she was said to have sprung from his forehead. That's how she was given birth. But she came out in full armor, and she was known to be incredibly wise. She would even sit with Zeus in like to help make decisions. She is known as the goddess of wisdom, of warfare, of crafts. Um, and she's the patron saint also of Athens, Greece. So she's highly revered and turned to when mortals need good guidance and counsel in all manner of affairs. So with this in mind, now we look at the card Judgment a little bit differently, because the Judgment card is I need to make a decision about something. How do I reconcile with something? Does reconciliation mean to make peace with someone and have them back in our lives, or does reconciliation mean I accept what is, I accept what they've shown to me, and here we go our separate ways, or I accept who they've shown to me and I now know they do not get the classification as friend but rather as foe. So we can look at that in a lot of different ways. So we have Aquarius perhaps looking for wisdom, though. Before making any decision, a wise person would contemplate. They would, I'm not saying I would do it because I'm not saying that I'm that wise, but I think it's fair to say a wise person weighs their words, contemplates things from more than their own perspective. Okay, so it appears that the judgment call that Aquarius is trying to decide is, do I permanently cut this energetic cord, this bond? I don't know who this might be with. They are thinking about cutting a cord with. We have oneness. If they choose to sever a tie, it would be because they're saying, this would be in order for me to be a more whole person. So I'm going to say right now, it appears that someone, possibly a Scorpio, has been draining. Well, now we have Pisces too. We got a lot of water energy in this so far, a lot of emotional drain. Somebody is draining. Maybe it's like compassion fatigue that is going on because of the way someone keeps sucking the energy and the air right out of the room, or right out of Aquarians, like heart space. They are trying to make a decision based on a higher perspective, weighing out, okay, if someone is very near and dear to me, it's very hard to cut a cord. However, I also am near and dear to me. So what do I do here? I've given it a lot of time. I need to see it from a higher perspective. I need to determine if I'm about to let go of someone. I feel like Aquarius has been very reluctant to fully release someone. And it's probably, okay, so it's a Two of Cups. This may never be a full release. This may be that Aquarius has to find a creative way to reclassify a connection. If they say, I know that I will love this person regardless. I've always loved them from past lives. I will love them many lifetimes from now. They are someone special. However, that does not mean that I can hold a space for them in my day-to-day life. Let's say, for example, as my impression right now is that this is a troubled connection that, fortunately or unfortunately, has a very profound spiritual meaning. It's almost like I feel like they're saying, I feel like this person is the other half of me. Is that Justin Timberlake song? Because you're just like a mirror. I'm looking right at the other half of me. So how do I cut ties with the other half of me? How do I say, oh, I don't need my left foot anymore? There has been a bond, and this bond has been very important. But say this is a troubled bond in the sense that although we stay connected, we also struggle to ever come together. That's what this is looking like. So now what do? Do I say, well, I just accept that I won't speak to them anymore? We have the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. This has been maddening. I think it's like, I'm done thinking about this. I'm done. I feel like, when we said that Athena sprang from Zeus's forehead, I feel like this is like our character's been getting a headache. That's the springing. And I think, remember, Athena popped out of his forehead in full on, battle fatigue, armor. I almost feel like Aquarius is saying, how can someone that I love, or a connection that is so dear to me and so spiritual and so sacred, fill me with such distress that it gives me a headache, and it almost makes me always ready to like fight. I want to fight for this. I also want to fight against this. I think there's a piece of them where they're like, God, I just wish I haven't even met this person. But at the same time, in the back of their mind, they go, I'm always going to meet divine connections, because that's really what we're here to do. So there's this, it's like Aquarius is resigning themselves to the fact that I could not have stayed away from this connection no matter what. It was going to come find me. And let me try to see it as a blessing, even if it hasn't provided me with maybe what I wanted out of it. Maybe I did get something out of it. I need to assign what this is to me. I need to quit feeling like I'm on the fence about what to do about it. We have the Inspiration of Cups in the reverse. Aquarius is actually coming to this conclusion where, and please remember, these are fictional stories about fictional characters. I'm not telling you what you should do or how this is going to go. But Aquarius themselves in this story is telling themselves, in reality, I'm not going to expect them to give me any apology. I'm giving up on the idea that they owe me an apology in order to make something right. We have a Four of Pentacles upright, and we have the Inspiration of Pentacles. I feel like Aquarius is actually saying they held back from me because they had some other chapter of their book of life that they had to write. I may have met them, and then they were still in the midst of the things that they had to do. And I understand that. Or they suddenly had a new, maybe because they met me in this lifetime, I was an inspiration to them that flipped on a light bulb and then made them go write some other chapter of their life. They held back from me because they had to jot down some other adventure. They had to have a different adventure. And I might have been basically like the inspiration for that. I helped them, even unwittingly encouraged them to do something wonderful that they needed to add into their life experiences. And perhaps that is what a divine connection is. It's the way we propel each other forward, even if we're like, but I didn't get anything out of this other than a hell of a lot of maybe hurt or a hell of a lot of disappointment, because all this says, I've got to quit giving to this, I think. But on the other hand, how do you quit giving, like I said, to your right foot or your left foot? There is something here where I think Aquarius is sitting here and they're gaining this wisdom that perhaps this isn't, we can't apply the traditional expectations to this story because it's not the traditional story. We want fairness. Absolutely. We deserve fairness. We deserve support. We deserve love. We deserve all those things. But this story has another layer of divine inspired energy to it. So it is not just about, I met somebody, we're attracted to each other, and now we should be able to be together, have this loyalty, and build a life. It's not quite as simple as A plus B, and then we go to C. This says, no, because it's a divine inspired energy, when I interact with them, I'm going to flip on other talents and other like a genetic expression that wasn't being turned on until I interacted with this person, and vice versa. It's like if you're in chemistry and you know that you can take two inert substances but put them together, and sometimes then they blow up. Or sometimes they bond and they become a whole new compound, right? That's basically what I'm trying to describe about this. The interaction of Aquarius with this person had a reaction. And unfortunately, in this case, the reaction maybe wasn't as fulfilling for Aquarius, but Aquarius is realizing, but I may have impacted them in this incredible way. And perhaps how they behaved after having met me is now a part of my life story as well, because I was the important ingredient that interacted and reacted with them. This is a really interesting perception, because it's no longer about I loved them, they didn't love me enough in return, or I loved them but they were broken and they needed to fix themselves, or you know I was their teacher and they were my student. We're putting it in a new framework, completely different framework, all because we're trying to use a maybe a wiser approach to looking at a situation, so that there can be a different judgment call made about what was this, what is this, and what do I do about this. Okay, so what does that mean? Where is Aquarius going with this? Strength card. So first off, I think that the hand of the divine is touching them and soothing them as they're thinking through this, because it takes a very strong person, very powerful person, I would argue, to be able to contemplate what we do and to challenge ourselves to see something in a different light. That takes tremendous courage. And I think the more a character leans into a courageous stance and is able to be brave enough to look at a situation from a different perspective, and to almost like, this is calming our inner bear, I'm not going to be angry and ferocious. Instead, I'm going to use my power wisely. I know that I'm strong. I know I met somebody and I may have impacted them in a positive way, even if it cost me some of my energy. God, I loved them and I gave them love, and that might have helped them to do some other things in their life, even if they didn't give me much back. I think thinking through it this way, this to me is like the hand of the divine that is reaching out and giving them like a little bit of like, it's almost like pressure points to alleviate, their sinus pressure and that headache that we talked about them maybe having earlier. I feel like the divine is kind of gently, not just applauding, but giving relief to the stress of this complex thought process that Aquarius is working through as they are releasing, pent up energy, hurt energy, painful energy, and they're opening their mind to seeing a very meaningful connection for what it was, for what it is. It's meaningful. I love them. Maybe I don't have to cut them out of my life and write down all the ways in which they were broken, and this is why they hurt me, and these are their shadows, and this is what they need to work on, but rather say, maybe it's not the way to look at it. Maybe all that's true. They had shadows and I was, the person who was helping them, but they're reframing it in a different light. And I think they're getting like, basically, I think a lot of their tension and stress is going to start to alleviate. And that's a sign that they are gaining true wisdom. I almost think that any hurt feelings are starting to just kind of soften. It's like if we've ever had like a knot, and, we start to get a massage and then the knot relieves. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. That's the equivalent of this. But it's all because Aquarius is thinking through this. And I believe what they're coming to the conclusion of is, why was I insisting that I had to figure out how to cut this person out of my life forever because they drained me? What if my very existence and having interacted with them was an inspiration to them? Now I don't feel like I'm being drained. In fact, I feel pretty damn good about myself. I feel like I'm glad how nice is that to think that I had a positive impact on someone? And you know what? I loved that person. I'm glad they knew that. I'm glad that I gave them light. Now it becomes, what did I do? I did something beautiful, instead of, God, what did they take from me? God, that person's awful. All of this is relieving a lot of hurt and pain and tension. And all of this, I think, is allowing Aquarius to say, well, of course I loved that person. It's to my credit that I can love. It's to my credit that I can inspire. That is my divine coming through me. I think Aquarius is about to not only feel so much more peaceful. This could be a divine masculine, does not have to be, but Aquarius is stepping into their masculine energy. And you notice, I always think those old, long beards are a sign of like philosophers, wise, wisdom. I feel like Aquarius, whether Aquarius could be a 21-year-old woman in this story, it doesn't matter, but they're showing up like their alter ego that they are connecting with is their old wise philosopher self that they'll be when they're 89 years old. I feel like Aquarius just tapped in to some deep wisdom. They became a really calm action taker. They know that they actually chose wisely. When they met someone that they cared about, they gave that love to somebody that they considered a divine connection. They don't have to regret that. They didn't lose anything. And in fact, they're about to be rewarded for it now that they're no longer either punishing themselves for it or trying to squash the memory of it and insist that that was a bad thing. I have to never think about them. They were, not able to love me. All of this says, no, I was a huge inspiration. I have a strength to me. I can spot really divine connections and I can love, and my love can influence and help people to grow. I'm thrilled I can do that. And finally, the universe is like, hell yeah, that's what you needed to get to. That was the thing to make a judgment call about. Look at what you've done. You've done something beautiful. Now they can finally receive rewards for that incredible perspective that they have. I think these rewards were always out there for them, but they wouldn't have fully appreciated them or acknowledged them or maybe even received them. I feel like Aquarius is about to, they could have a huge flood of amazing financial success that comes in. They could receive an inheritance. They could have something, they could inherit a house. It could be something massive. We have a King of Cups and we have a Five of Wands. And what happens from here on out? Well, Aquarius does not have to say, I have to cut ties with that person. Instead, they say there will always be an open spot in my heart. Should that Two of Cups person someday come sailing back into my world, I'm not going to say that I didn't love them or I stopped loving them. Of course I loved them. Someday, perhaps they'll tell me their story about where they went and what's been going on. But in the meantime, I've got a lot of things to take care of also. I just feel like there's this energy of, I think Aquarius is accepting that we all have different lessons and different people will interact with in life. Aquarius is going to have other people to interact with also. Aquarius may fall madly in love with someone very soon here, and it won't be that Two of Cups person. There is love there, but see, I think Aquarius is supposed to meet somebody else on this journey. I think that they have almost like they're going to realize that was more, they hold love for someone, but their partnership is going to be with a different person. We have a Two of Pentacles. Yeah, they need somebody who can really balance them out in the 3D world, not just in the 5D. This is an interesting Aquarius because they have more than one deeply important relationship in their life. And one is more of a spiritual bond, but they live in the 3D. And I think that was the other judgment call they had to make. I don't have to stop caring or loving my Two of Cups person that is very much someone I'm not going to be able to have the 3D connection with, but I don't have to be upset about it. That adds another layer to my life. Like, do we get angry that we have a ceiling over us when most of the time, since we don't levitate, we walk on the floor? It's kind of like, well, I care more about keeping the floor of my house from falling in. I can patch a roof, a ceiling leak or something, but if I don't have anything underneath me in any floor in my house, I literally can't live in my house. I can live in a house that has a leaky ceiling. So my point is, a spiritual connection in the 5D, which is that Two of Cups relationship, is technically a little bit less important than Aquarius putting their energy into meeting the 3D partnership that they're headed for. We have the Nine of Wands coupled with the Five of Swords coupled with the Moon. All of this is what our Aquarius had to wrap their head around. And they've known this in the subconscious. They've known in truth that this situation, they do kind of have to protect themselves a little bit from over giving to that 5D connection, because the 5D connection is spiritual and it's beautiful and it's meaningful, but it is not perhaps the person who's going to stand right beside them. We have the Devil and the Justice. That person may still have other big lessons to learn about some toxic behavior, and that's their stuff to deal with. But I think Aquarius, by meeting them, gave them some kind of, guidelines or encouragement, like, hey, make better choices. Don't stay stuck in toxic behaviors. Aquarius knows this. They know this is the reason I met this person. It was to be that support system. It was to be either even a contact point for them to hear their own conscience. Aquarius's energy helped this person who is still trapped in some toxic behaviors, and now they've done their work. Their interaction with this person is going to have a lasting impact. But Aquarius is ready to move on. We've got a King of Swords up ahead for them. We've got somebody coming toward Aquarius that they've got to be ready to receive pretty soon. And this is a 3D relationship with somebody who's going to be a beautiful match. They're showing up as a feminine king. Doesn't matter what gender we're talking about, but you notice Aquarius did come across as a masculine in this. I just feel like Aquarius should not be too tangled up in trying to figure out what to do with a Two of Cups relationship, because they have a very 3D, very real, very tangible partnership. It's going to be perfect for them, that is coming right toward them. And they don't have to forget that Two of Cups person, but they do have to look at it perhaps with the truthful eye that they already know. They already know the truth of this. Yep, I met a Two of Cups person, and yep, they do have some toxic behaviors. But yes, I also really loved them. And yes, I will always still hold a spot for them in my heart. But just like they are the ceiling over my house, my floor is more important right now than my ceiling. My 3D world is more important to me now than my roof overhead. I can patch those little holes, but I need a solid foundation under me. So I think that this is all about Aquarius working through the idea that they are ready now to say, yeah, my judgment call is to say, I'm going to love somebody in my 3D life without having to mourn or pine for a Two of Cups relationship. But I also don't have to cut that Two of Cups out of my life and never think of them again. This is a beautiful compromise, and I think just I feel a huge sense of peace in this. All right, this one got really long. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.